Hi, my name's Hannah Moss and this is my video for the Graduate Lettings Management Scheme. So all I'm going to do in this video is just run through a few questions. Hopefully you'll get to find out a bit more about me and see why I think I'm the perfect candidate for the graduate scheme. So the first question that was given to me was, how do I think the residential renting market has compares to how it was 5 years ago, so back in 2010. Now, I think the most obvious comparison would be the increase in rental prices. Since 2010, the average rent has increased by 15.2%. Now, this is a lot. It has actually outpaced the rate of inflation, and although it isn't as much of an increase as the price of housing, it is still a big increase. So because of that, obviously you've got people not being able to get a mortgage, not being able to buy their own property. There is also the decline in social housing, which means that a lot of people have now turned to renting, and it's sort of brought about this generation rent. Other things that have increased is the living wage. Now, although it hasn't increased enough for people to be able to easily buy their own property, it has meant that they are able to rent quite comfortably. I think this is something that is shown in a comparison between figures and arrears. So obviously back in 2010, the average monthly rent, I think there was about 14.7% of the monthly rent was actually in arrears. Fast forward 5 years, we're now in 2015, and this has actually dropped to 7.4. So this is almost half the figure. I think essentially the comparison is just now, whilst back in 2010, renting was a quick fix until you sort of got onto the property market. Now it's sort of the norm. It's the normal to be renting long term, both out of choice and because they've got no choice. It's in housing prices. Now, the next question is about what I'm studying and how this can relate to the graduate scheme. Now, I have recently just graduated with a BA Honours in Graphic Communications. Now, although that's not a course that you would directly associate with lettings or properties, there was a lot that I've taken away from the course that I know that I can apply to the industry. For instance, my course was very real life. We had a lot of live briefs. I had a lot of work with clients. So obviously this meant that I had to be constantly building rapport with clients. I had to build up a great communication with them, essentially. I would be taking their project from start to finish, so from ideas right through to the finished product. And I would be working on a very tight schedule for this. Something that I believe is very useful in the industry, having tight deadlines, time frames. I did a design course, so that meant I always had to be on top of trends. Again, something I believe that can be applied in the lettings industry. Regulations change, the markets change, and you really do need to be on top of it. Since I've graduated, I have taken a job in as a renewals coordinator at Sequence Property Management. Obviously, I have been really interested in getting my foot into the lettings industry, and I saw this as a perfect opportunity to sort of build my basic knowledge. Now, I absolutely love my role. I manage the renewals for about 7 branches across the UK. I take it from start to finish, so from negotiations to executing the tenancy agreements. I have learned a lot in the time that I've been there, and it's really sort of made me realise that lettings is the industry that I want to be in. Okay, so the next question is where I can see myself in 5 years' time. So for me, progression is key. I want to go from where I am now right to the top whilst experience everything in between. I really can see myself at a managerial level. I would like to be managing a successful branch with a large portfolio and a successful lettings team. And the final question is to say something interesting about myself. It's one of those questions that you've got to think quite hard about, but I think what's interesting about myself is when I was around 13 years old, I was watching the women's water polo on the TV. It was the Olympics, a sport I'd never seen before, hadn't even heard of it. The next day I went along to my local swimming pool, tried out for the local team. Since then, so we're talking 10 years on, I've played for my city, I've competed for my county. I then went to university and joined the university team, winning a lot of competitions there. And I now play again for my city, so I now play on the Cardiff women's water polo team. So yeah, that's it. I think that's all the questions that were given. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.